This is heat 1 of 1 of the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase.
It doesn't look like Rosie is doing it.
So who do we have in this heat?
We have Sierra Camille, Olivia Marshall, Lillian Hughes, and Caroline Basio.
Got a bit of a spread here early.
Very spread out. Pretty early to go.
That happens a lot in these smaller fields. Just wide range of goals.
Sierra Camille, seat time 12:09. I will confess that I have a very low level of knowledge of the steeplechase.
It's an interesting race.
I've never run
I
it.
steepled for a brief amount of time during my college career. Here's the first barrier.
Cleanly over. I guess really the real question of how cleanly do they get over it is when it gets to the water jump.
Yeah. But middle of the race barriers do matter, whether they're putting their foot up on it or.
Well, yeah, you want to try to be hurdling it the whole way, right?
Yeah.
It
now,
takes
in a race
less
like
energy.
This, it's a little easier. Hurdling in a crowded field can be tough. But when it's spread out,
this is
it's
the
a little
final
bit
call
nicer
for the men's and
take your own
women's
approach to
400
each
meter
hurdle.
dash. Final call, men's and women's 400 meter dash.
Shouldn't really call them hurdles, barriers.
Barriers. But you hurdle the barrier.
Yeah. But doing them
You
a
can hurdle a
disservice.
barrier, but you can't barrier a hurdle.
Well, you can run into it.
Now here comes the first water jump.
Let's see how she goes. They lost a little momentum on it. That's to be expected from most people.
Now the goal on the water barrier is to try to keep one foot dry oftentimes. You
Yeah.
want one foot in the water and try to keep one dry.
Now the question is right now, do I zoom back in on the water barrier after every time somebody goes around on it? Or do I stick on the leaders the whole time?
I think that's a decision best made by the cameraman.
Alright, next time around I'm going to stay on the water for each person coming around.
I mean, I think that's what we're all here to watch, let's be honest.
It's the most interesting event, correct?
It is a very interesting event to watch.
Now, interesting fact, because the women's hurdles are lower than the men's, while that's an advantage on most of the barriers, at the water barrier it's actually harder because you are launching from a lower point, so it's harder to get out of the water.
Wow, that is
I never thought of that.
great insight from Mr. Crowley here. I thought the goal of the water barrier was to get your body completely submerged under the water.
Yeah, you want to be down there when other runners are going over you. You know, maybe take some people out, just spring up.
What if you hid under the water and then just waited and then emerged from the water on the...
I'm sure somebody would drag you out of there. It's usually pretty gross water too, I want to say.
Yeah, you probably I don't know if it's ever worth it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Kevin Curtin is out here maintaining the integrity of the water and the...
Some of the good facilities are able to drain their water, so they drain and refill for each meet, but some of them, that water sits there for a good amount of time, collects some dead bugs and the like.
Much like an untreated pool.
Yes.
In a creepy horror film showing the decay of an American family. So anyway, we have Sierra Camille in first place, and we've got Olivia Marshall, who is tailing her. It's a
pretty steady gap there.
Probably a 3 or 4 second gap. They've got 5 laps to go.
Now, if you're unfamiliar with the steeplechase, the water barrier actually it's deepest at the closest to the barrier, so it rewards people who get further out.
So you do want to try to push out as far as you can.
Yeah. As you go up, you don't want to. It's a bit counterintuitive, the water barrier, because as an athlete, especially from like other sports such as basketball, you're used to jumping up. And what you really want to do is jump out. You want to get on there and you want to push off forward and almost down rather than pushing out, waste energy going up.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, oh man.
Oh, shoot. And there's a fall from Camilla Camille.
It's
Wonder.
I would imagine that just from the seed times that for a lot of these athletes, this is one of their first times running the steeplechase.
It's hard to find steeples. It's
it's
not a often run event.
Especially, ooh, she's probably hurting from the fall, from that
Definitely.
fall before, that she's struggling a bit.
Yeah, this event is not for the faint of heart for sure. But
Yeah.
Kamira's backed up and she's still in it.
Still in it, but you know, I'd imagine probably she landed wrong, hurt her. You know, because the fact that she fell on the next hurdle as well implies that she. Okay, all right, clean on that one. If she can continue to hurdle them cleanly, she'd probably be all set.
She
But
does have
yeah,
some
that really broke up her.
rhythm.
Yeah, she was doing great leading the race.
We got a mile to go.
Now, kind of one of the inspirations of this steeplechase, kind of this odd event in track and field, is kind of the old English cross country, where there was things to jump, dodge in the race, and they wanted to take something similar to that to the track, is what I've been told, and thus barriers.
Yeah. I think I've heard similar things. I wasn't sure. There's also the horse race steeplechase sort of thing, which I believe is barriers, and maybe the human cross country races was based off the horse race steeplechase. I don't know
We
though.
will never know the answer to that question.
Yeah, it's impossible to figure it
lost to
out.
history.
It's impossible to figure out the. There's no resources we can use to ever know.
We have perfect cell surface too.
My hands are busy.
Here comes the water barrier. Marshall gets through it cleanly. Kamir coming up to it.
All right.
It's a good barrier.
She got through that just fine. Looks like she's starting to catch back up to. Sorry, what were the names again? We had Marshall and
Kamir.
Kamir.
Marshall's been hurdling well.
Yeah. You know, I think this part of the race is when you really have to get over, like,
Really focus on your form.
yeah, over that. It can. You're tired. It the hurdles take up that much more energy.
Right. You gotta really watch your trail leg here.
That's where you'll trip in. Yeah.
Kamir is about 6 seconds back of Marshall.
Closing back in a little bit.
Yeah, she looks like she's moving up. I don't know. It would probably take a.
Well, with 1,200 to go, anything can happen.
True, 1,200 to go.
Although, is it really 1,200? It's a little bit. Well, obviously at this point it's less, but the track's a little shorter.
Oh, true. Yeah, true.
I mean, it's like a second per lap or so. Because they start a little farther back than the normal 3,000 start.
Yeah, just to make up for
For the fact that the track's shorter.
Cuts into the water barrier.
Yeah, Kamir definitely catching back up to Marshall here as they come up to this water barrier.
Yeah, that gap has shrunk a lot.
Yeah, it's only about 30 seconds now. I think I have to imagine that one of the keys to this would be landing on one foot as opposed to two in the water pit, and
Yeah, with everything with the
basically
steeple.
continuing your running.
Yeah. So even with the barriers, you wanna be landing and stepping forward. There's two good examples of how to do it. You don't want to be landing even with any of your hurdles, and then basically restarting your momentum. You want to step forward.
And Marshall is
With 2 laps to go.
Kamir is back with 2 laps to go, so it's a good race here.
Swinging wide.
Yeah, going around her.
Around.
No, maybe just swinging wide for the jump. No, she's going around her.
Going around.
She has the higher seed time. Her seed time is 12:09.
Recovering nicely from the fall.
Yeah, so that's good to see. Because she had two barriers in a row that she fell.
Is it 2 laps to go or 3 laps? Wait, I'm not certain what we have left.
I think these two have 2 laps. I think the leaders have 2 laps to go.
Okay.
I think the other two have 3 laps to go.
All right.
Sorry, folks. We just got a news that our pizza has arrived.
Oh boy.
we are rejoicing up here in the booth.
On top of the booth,
As
really.
it is quite cold.
I think, yeah, some of my colleagues should start eating because they are going to be taking over videoing after this race. Just saying.
I think Crowley can handle the taping. Oh, this is wow,
Ooh.
a great barrier, a great water barrier by Marshall, and she kind of catches back up
This
a little
is,
bit.
yeah.
It seems like K. Meyer is the faster runner, but Marshall has been more consistent.
More consistent on the actual, yeah, on the barriers and hurdling them. Clear.
It's one of the factors of this race
That
that
was
really rewards
that was a
great
very
form.
good hurdle by very good barrier by Kamir, was it?
Yeah, K. Meyer.
K. Meyer.
Now
And
we
I
are hitting
think
the
we
bell
have one lap to
lap.
go.
Yeah, 1 lap to go.
People, our leader, Sierra Camille, right behind is Olivia Marshall.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been calling her Elizabeth Marshall. I
Ah,
apologize, Olivia. I think I'm thinking, is it Elizabeth Marshall? I don't know who that is.
but this is
This is
Olivia.
Olivia, yeah,
All
this is
right,
Olivia.
Olivia Marshall.
So it's K. Meyer in
First
first.
call, men's
And Marshall in
good.
second.
First
K.
call,
Meyer is
men's and women's mile.
increasing her lead after that awful fall mid-race on the barrier. She caught back up. Looking strong now. It's often when you fall mid-race, like that hurt your, you land on your ankle wrong mid-race, or even just middle of a run. It hurts a lot at first, and then after a little bit, it can often, as long as there's not any real damage, the pain will fade away.
You're gonna get that adrenaline boost.
Yeah.
See, Coburn fell on the last barrier at the Diamond League meet she was in, and still came back with a pretty quick time. So
Yeah.
you can recover.
As our leaders hit the home straight, let's give them a helping hand to the finish line.
All right, last barrier, and let's see. Can we? We gotta see. K. Meyer finish.
Unofficially,
That is
12:29.
Sierra Camille finishing first.
And Marshall is coming through in 12:36, which is much faster than her seat time. Her seat time was, I think, 13:17, so she crushed her seat time. K. Meyer was right around her seat time, so good race.
Yeah.
The pizza's good. Oh, sorry, we're live. Sorry, folks.
The pizza's good.
The pizza is good.
Where did we get this pizza, actually?
Giving shout-outs.
Yeah.
New York pie.
New York pie, very good pizza. Highly recommend.
What's this star? Supporting local businesses. That's what Battle Road's all about. And New York pie. Local business. Favorite one of those wannabe stores.
Yeah, I was laughing because we were having dinner and they had it on TV. And the Capitals found it there in Washington. And they said, "Oh, the team has been going."
But somebody is actually cool.
And this is Lillian Hudanich of South Shore Track Club, coming through in 14:22 unofficially. I got to imagine this is her first time running the steeplechase. She looks pretty young, so good experience. Typically at the high school level, the steeplechase is 2,000 meters. So moving up to the 3K, I mean, basically doing a 2 mile with barriers.
Yeah.
That is not a easy task.
Considering the 2 miles is the longest event generally in high school.
And
Although also in high school they don't often have a steeplechase ever.
they do in New York, actually.
New York's the big.
Yeah. This is Caroline Bissio, unattached. And she's coming through the line. Oh, I'm sorry, she has one lap to go.
I have a long sleeve shirt. Can you grab that for me?
I can give you the coat back now.
If you need a liquor, you need something.
Yeah, I've got some stuff. I'll grab that.
You want to bring them up?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do you want to do video for the next one?
No, I don't. I'm here for passive commentary. Actually, I'm going to be down the track to go.
What do we have next?
I'm invested in it. I get a lot of money.
I think a mile? Oh, no, 400.
400. Oh, crap.
It's not neat. You have one get two? Yeah.
I had 2. These Romans are huge.
I don't know.
Just want everybody to know I took the biggest piece left.
Yeah, I got 100 people off.
That's why you got to target. Eat quick.